everybody, this is Kohdok here on the Co-Extra channel. I've already done some stuff with Partsworks magazines on this channel before with the stuff for Warhammer and the Dungeons & Dragons one, but turns out there is a whole host of these sorts of collectibles, and today we're taking a look at the one by Agostini Collectibles. Agostini is an Italian publisher that has been around 1 year shy of 125 years. That's actually pretty impressive. So what Agostini Collectibles, as you might expect an Italian company to do, they make a lot of scale models of things like vehicles, cars. They love their Formula One in Italy. So they have a lot of, they have like collections, which are like a series of high quality die-cast models. They also have Partsworks style magazines where you over time build a very large, very detailed, very expensive scale model of a very fancy car. Like I know they have one for a Ferrari right now, but what they have done is they have actually sent me the start of their Star Trek line. So they are doing this is not a small box. So what they are doing is they are making a line that is based on the more modern Star Treks. And there have been a lot of Star Treks recently, which I admit are a mixed bag. Lower Decks is great if you're a fan. Prodigy is good once you get to Episode 8. Episode 8 is about as star as you can trek, in my opinion. So, yeah, give it some time. Although today we have the USS Titan from Star Trek Picard. So, the individual issues, I'm calling them that. They're pretty pricey at about $55 a piece. It's a collection of 20 ships at $55, and a few that are like larger have a more significant price tag attached to it. Although they do have a system in place that allows you to buy the ships individually if you just have the ones that you like for a little bit more. It's $10 more base price, and you have to pay shipping. But we'll have to see if this merits that price tag. I did these sorts of toy reviews a lot back in the day. We'll see if they measure up to the level of quality that I'm expecting. So we do have at the very top here, we have our book for the USS Titan, and we have a collector's guide here. So they've only spoiled like the first few ships on here, although they've spoiled some of the larger ones as well. But you can see we have here our list of the current Star Trek shows. Yeah, that is a lot. That's 5 at once. They're all running concurrently. Like I said, Prodigy I think is good once it really starts rolling. The Star Trek Prodigy is good, although apparently the Protostar is one of the final ships in the series. But we have the Enterprise F. So yes, this is based mainly on ships. It's based entirely on ships in the current run of Star Trek. So if you're trying to get like a classic Enterprise or like an Enterprise D or something like that, let's face it, you're already pretty well served with how many models are out here. So these are supposed to be high quality collectibles based on the newer ones, and you don't really have a lot of those yet. So, and of course with our Partsworks subscriptions, we have our good stuff. We get like a bonus ship. We get Okudagram, whatever that is. It's on acrylic sheet, so it's like transparent. So it's supposed to, I guess, look like something from actually off of the bridge. You have your standard mug. I got one of those in my Warhammer one, as well as did the binder. Although, judging by how thin these magazines are and the fact that there's only 20 issues, I imagine a single binder will be able to hold all of it, unlike the Warhammer one, which needs like 4. So the books about the USS Titan, they do have like the sorts of like specs you'd expect, like the sort of fictional like stories that you'd expect from these sorts of magazines. But they also have like a little later, they have like behind the scenes details where they talk about how the Titan was directly inspired by the original USS Enterprise from the Captain Kirk seasons, which is why it has this sort of round dish. It's designed to invoke that look of classic Trek, kind of loop around, make that grand circle again. A lot of fun details, a lot of like interviews and stuff like that. But that's not really why we grab these sorts of models, is it? I mean, it's certainly a nice bonus, but what we're here for is to see if we have a good quality model kit. And yes, this is custom foam insulation, so no matter how far it ships, it is going to be fairly nice and secure. And we have our Titan. And yeah, you can kind of see how it resembles like the Enterprise. It looks like a pizza slicer. I think my brother-in-law actually has like an Enterprise pizza slicer. So let's get in nice and close for those glamour shots. And now for the closer look. As you can see in this custom cut foam insulation, we have our Titan / Enterprise E. We also have a stand, and this stand is not like the sort of cheap plastic stand you might be expecting. This is actually like a pretty solid puck. It's got some heft to it. Got some weight. I haven't taken it out of the bag yet. I think it's got a non-slip to it. Oh, it's metal, that's for sure, because it's got that nice cold feel. Got a velvety texture on the bottom there. Almost looks like Fanta Black on my camera here, but that is listen to that. That's velvet, and it's on a solid metal disc. So this thing actually has a decent amount of weight to it. It does certainly feel very classy, although I worry I might get my fingerprints on it. And it also has a pair of forks. This is actually how it holds up the ship. It actually holds it up by grabbing it on the dish. And that is because the ship itself is actually seamless. Unlike a lot of display models, this version of the Titan, if we extract it from its tomb here, is a solid, well, it's a couple of pieces. It's a die-cast metal on the front dish, and the nacelles and stuff back here are plastic, but it has no place to put a mount. It is entirely seamless. If you wanted to use this thing to make like a sci-fi film, string it up with some black thread against the black background. I've done that a couple of times. I've done all sorts of those fun improvised special effects. You can totally do that. So, taking a good look here, the detailing. Let's see how close I can get here. Yeah, so we got the detailing on here. That all looks very nice and crisp. Even on the cracks there, everything looks nice and solid. We have the bridge. We have some nice, what looks like sort of, I guess this is meant to be sort of a weathering texture on the dish here, meant to show the test as this thing passes through the dangers of space. We of course have some of the fun detailing in the form of, you know, some of the iconography here, and this I think is actually this orange spot here. Is that paint? Yeah, that's more of a metallic paint, although there are some pieces on here that are made out of clear plastic, specifically the warped nacelles. It's got a mostly matte finish, which I think actually works pretty well. Gives it that sort of Star Trek look from the models you see from the show. For considering the size of this thing, like you can see how it fits in my hand. This thing is easily like 7 inches long. I'll have an example of it against my Dawn figure, which I haven't whipped out in a while. There's a blast from the past, who is exactly 6 inches tall, which is why I use her for comparison so much. But yeah, definitely a treat to see with how tightly done the detail is. This would look good on a desk, on a bookshelf. And like I said, it's $55 if you order it as part of the subscription, and $70 plus, including shipping, if you order it directly, if you wanted to do that. And there we have it, the NCC 80102A USS Titan / USS Enterprise E on its stand. And it does have this sort of upwards tilt to it, thanks to the gravity way that it stays in the clip. And as much as I would maybe like a stand that could also like cheat it towards me, so that when I put it on a bookshelf or something, it cheats towards me and flatters the figure a bit more, I admit I do also like this sort of proud upwards tilt that the stand holds the model on as well. It gives it that sort of optimistic flair that Star Trek is well known for. And like I said, the base itself, it is metal with a velvet bottom, so I think this thing was designed more as a desk ornament. You can see, like, based on it compared to the size of my hand, this was, that seems to be the intention, is that it's a little display piece that you would want to show off there. It does make it a little tough, considering that it's part of a subscription. Kind of also makes it difficult to think of giving it away as a gift, but like I said, they do allow you to purchase them individually, and I've already gone over sort of the nice high level of detail that we have going here, and like I said, I think the stand that they gave it here really does help round that out, thanks to that proud angle, that kind of, it's that sort of optimism that Star Trek is known for, that sort of that sort of little touch of whimsy. Same with how they have a lot of airplane models that have an upward tilt to them, so that when they're on their stance, they also have that sort of proud image to them. And I think that it suits these designs especially well. And when it comes to comparison, at least in my mind, the easiest one would probably be the stuff from the Fantasy Flight X-Wing game, whose selling point was that it is also incredibly well detailed. Like you can see how well the paint is done on the Shadowcaster here. It's and unlike the Star Trek one here, it has a lot more panel lining, a lot more like grunge, like you can see like that on that reactor block there. A lot more in the Star Wars aesthetic. Although to the untrained eye, I think most would probably think that these were maybe from a similar sort of series of products and stuff like that. The Shadowcaster released a while back, a few years ago, and it had a suggested retail price of $48. It is entirely plastic, and while it also came with some game pieces, I would hardly say that roughly 20 cards and a punch-out token sheet is that notable, especially considering how the plastic base it has here. That is something that is nice about this metallic base. Even though I am worried I'm going to get fingerprints on it, it does look very slick, look very nice against the black background. If there's a way to get rid of these clips, you could easily suspend this ship on like some black thread and fly it around in front of a black screen to get that sort of look. Like I said, this thing, if you get it as the subscription, if this is the first month subscription, if you really want the Titan, this is going to run you about $55. So a difference of about $7 between these two. It jumps up to $70, including shipping and handling if you order it individually. So I would say it's up to you. I think that with a lot of the details they have on here, the weathering, the painting, I think it seems like a reasonable price. The warp nacelles, thing I didn't really point out before, is how they are plastic, actually, with a clear plastic that is see-through. So you can actually, the light actually passes through them. A nice little added feature there. And of course my Dawn figure for scale. How's that for a blast of the past? My Dawn figure is exactly 6 inches tall, so you get a pretty good feel of how large anything is by comparing yourself to it. Like I said, it makes for a nice little desk ornament, especially if we compared them head on. If we compare them head on, her head doesn't even reach the back of the main body without including the warp nacelles on the Titan. So yeah, pretty decently sized, pretty well detailed. I'd say it's definitely up there with a lot of the collectibles on the market. And there you have it, the USS Titan, the start of the Star Trek official Starships collection by Fanhome and Agostini Collectibles. If you are a big enthusiast about the Star Trek series that have been coming out recently, which I've heard they're a mixed bag, I've only watched a couple of them, then this is definitely that for you. I do really enjoy the fact that you get a like $15 off discount per ship if you buy it as a subscription, which means you basically get your 4th ship free, but you can still buy the individual ships if you like, although I don't know, a lot of them seem to always be perpetually out of stock. So if you do buy the subscription, you do get priority. There have actually been there have been so many of these magazines lately. It really is something to behold. But yeah, thank you, Fanhome, for giving me the chance to go over these sets, and until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.